Hello. Hello. Um, the Trump went to the DOJ, but then he did this interview with Cheryl Atkinson. Now, I find that these days his speeches are rambly and fairly boring, and he's staying more on script. It's the interviews where he talks out of his ass, full bore, as it were. And so there's more to be taken away from what he's actually talking about. That said, let me see if I can. Yeah. Um, 1 second. I want to see if I got to see if the thumbnail will come up, so people can see. Yeah, there we go. This is yeah, and okay, and this one because I don't know what the hell. All right, this one. A couple of things. This one is just fucking magic. Nothing really explains Trump's world right now more than this, more than like X, which is that kid's name, I think, following Trump around and being basically like we've been thinking for a long time of like President Elon Musk, Vice President Donald Trump. At this point, it's President X Musk and Vice President Donald Trump. Like this kid is more president than Trump is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Trump has wiped boogers on the Resolute desk, but I think he thinks nobody noticed. We did. But this is them celebrating the victory laps. This is their little story. But here's the little video of him oddly walking out.
Look,
that's so great. He looks like a happy grandpa there. That's not even his grandkid, but
no, he does not. The kid looks happy and like he's fucking around, like kids do. Trump does not look happy. I don't know how. There's, I think, a Missouri judge or a senator is trying to make Trump derangement syndrome classified as a true mental illness. I would agree, but I think Trump derangement syndrome applies to people who can't look at him and actually see what he looks like, sounds like, or hear what he's actually saying. You have to be deranged and like in a sycophantic, cultic way, hypnotized by his bullshit to look at him and go, "This looks like a happy grandpa."
no, it's maybe an adopted grandkid.
yeah, exactly.
So it's the adoption part that's a separate. What the fuck?
Is that the child that's always on Elon's shoulders?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's pointing and making an X. That kid is X. He wants people to know that he is not just taking a little boy onto the helicopter with him for his own personal use, I guess.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
That's little X.
That kid is not going to grow up in reality at all.
You say he did the X and then pointed to him. Yeah, that's who that is.
Yeah, it's I'm going to kill this child as a ritual sacrifice. No, I'm kidding. If Biden walked out there with one of his donors' kids and they were getting on it, imagine what would be awesome.
Great. But you know, it really is amazing to look at.
It's a very kid-friendly White House. I'm just going to say, it's very kid-friendly.
Well, I mean, the vice president has young kids.
The vice president has young kids. Where are they? Dude, this isn't even his grandkid, you fucking weirdo. Where are his grandchildren? I haven't seen him at the White House. Have you? What the hell?
Yeah, and you see kids all the time in there.
No, you don't. You see Elon Musk's fucking kid using the Oval Office as a jungle gym.
Of course, that scene where in the Oval Office, completely scripted by Donald Trump, where he gathered all the children around him to sign the
It was scripted by Donald Trump. Get the fuck out of here.
Girls?
The no men and women, girls sports. It was such a wholesome, beautiful scene, and it's a reminder that that guy right there has an eye for theatrics, an eye for TV, an eye for the visual, and it's.
I agree. There's just something poetic about a grown man taking another grown man's son on a helicopter when that man's parents are nowhere to be seen. Yeah, the optics on this are fucking fantastic. Like, what's this White House's main theme for the year is uh wide open abductions. This is eyes wide open, eyes wide shut abductions.
Why he connects so powerfully with. That's awesome.
I can't, you guys. I can't. It's just too much.
And then Trump almost falls. Maybe X should have helped him up.
That's
Watch
awesome.
this.
I can't, you guys. I can't. It's just too much cuteness. It's just too much.
Joe Biden could never.
You're so right about what.
Did you hear that? Like, listen to that shit in the background. Joe Biden could never. First of all, Trump fucking hates his kids. And he never spends any time with his fucking grandkids. Even when there's a picture around, he treats them just like fans at one of these fucking events. So get the fuck out of here with this whole, like, he's a grandpa, it's a family thing, kid friendly, whatever. Like, this sounds like a dumber, like the Dumb and Dumber version of North Korean propaganda. Just piss off. But secondly, this is just fucking weird. That's not normal. Where is Elon Musk in this? Why? Where? Just take my kid. Where? What? What is this? And Biden, like, texted with all of his granddaughters. They talked all the fucking time. They still do. Shut the fuck up. He's close to his actual family. Dude's an Irish Catholic. There are, like, no more annoyingly, like, well-knit, I think Trump would call them, families than that. Like, they're just always, I mean, huge family gatherings. And here's Trump missing the first step. Just kind of perfect for a little freeze frame right there. But again, what is, if a Democrat did this with a donor's kid, like, you would never hear the end of the Epstein cabal. Roseanne would like, well, that kid became a milkshake.
Too much cuteness. It's just too much.
Joe Biden could never.
You're so.
Hear that? Joe Biden could never bullshit. What are you talking about? Dude actually gets together with his family, actually has Christmas. Joe Biden, when his wife and daughter were fucking killed and his son was injured, and his boys were injured, just got sworn in as a senator, or as the youngest senator, I think it was at the time. And he never stayed in D.C. He took the train back to Delaware every night so he could tuck them in. He raised his sons all during that period. Like, I mean, why? I mean, it's just petty bullshit, obviously. Like, why would you even bring up something like that? It's just kind of like, it's just so gross. Like, and it's very, and maybe that's what Trump insists on. Maybe that it's getting so consistent, both from Trump himself, Caroline Leavitt, maybe everybody's just taking the natural cues about this, but you can't say anything about Trump without saying Biden screwed this up, or never coulda, or never woulda, or blah, 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 because you've got to lower Biden's standing, because on the merits, Biden kicks his ass everywhere.
Right about what you said with that image of the little girls around him, and just, the message it sent to the world of, like, we're turning.
Yes, that we're not releasing the Epstein files. That's what I thought immediately. Like, as soon as I saw him signing that thing, no men and women's sports for all the, and he had all the girls around him, I was like, okay, this is like a Peacock fan of, we're not to hide the Epstein files. Just like, that's what that's for. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about, chat room. That whole display where he was signing that thing was really a way of, what's Joey looking at? Well, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, what is Joey looking at? By the way, I did an event for vets with and Joey was there. I've spoken to him a couple of times in passing. On Twitter, we used to go at it, but I was always respectful of the fact that you could tell, and you can look by here, he lost both his legs in the war. And he was sort of the prototype for me being able to question somebody's ideological lock, this fixation that they have on Trump actually being good at this job, and how fucking insane that is, and separating it from me being able to thank him for his service. And I'm happy to say that even as contentious as we ever got, he never felt like I was taking that away from him. And I think that says a lot about how you could go after these stupid talking points and their sycophantic love for this messianic dipshit and still be okay human to human. It's possible, I'm saying. But Lady in Red. Uh-huh. Yeah. Julie, look out. So John Kennedy said he was missing Ukrainian kids, missing kids. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look good when you're supporting Putin, who stole, 60, 70,000 Ukrainian children. You're friends with the Tate brothers, who are, sex traffickers. I mean, Trump was buddies with Epstein for 25 years, period. Nobody is going to, I have to get my creds at some point and go to D.C. and ask the only question I want to ask. And it's why I won't get into the White House, because they'll see this. The only question I want to ask is, Trump was Epstein's friend for 25 years. How long should it take a person to know that someone like Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile? More than a decade or less than a decade? How long would it take anyone in this room to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein's a pedophile? Would it be less than 25 years? That's the only question I give a shit about. Like, I mean, there's a lot of questions I would ask that are serious political questions, but I don't think they have any answers for them. And I think that would point to their, I was about to say moral flexibility, but their lack of morals in entirety. Hold on a second. Fighting a cough while you're trying to talk is lots of fun.
The page on all this craziness, but he also did it at the joint session of Congress. And I think it was the most, frankly, to me, the most important line in that entire address, and it was a long one. He said to the children of America, God made you perfectly. You are perfect exactly the way God made you.
So beautiful.
It is so beautiful. That's why we're getting rid of the Department of Education, because God made children perfect. They don't need education. Shit, they don't need clothes, I guess. God didn't make you. Your body's perfect. Why would you want to cover it? This is getting creepier the more we play this out. No. How about epileptics? I mean, I don't think it's a negative about them, but I don't think you would just classify that as like shrug it off as God's perfect creation. I think maybe looking for a cure would, still be valuable, Also, Trump dyes his hair, so I guess God don't make no mistakes.
Beautiful message from the president. Now, let's get to the fighting.
Well, that issue you're talking about males in women's sports, that's an 80-20 issue, right?
Yeah.
But it's in America among people. But in Congress, apparently it's a 50-50 issue, because Democrats seem to still want to support that. Or maybe they are starting to divide up, just not over that issue. Maybe they're starting to divide up over how much.
Thanks, Joey. Great. Yeah, create a point and then collapse your own point. Look at the two of them, like, did you? Yeah, here's a good idea. If you think you're kind of finalizing an argument, don't don't shit on your own argument, I think, in that moment. Just leave it there,
money they want to spend.
They are united in that, Joey.
Yeah.
They're not united on whether they're willing to shut the government down to do it, because usually the people who shut the government down have another political problem on their hands, right?
Yeah, that would be whoever's in charge and can't get the votes together to do it, which is what happened. It wouldn't be up to the Democrats to keep the government open. The Republicans have the House and the Senate.
Here's Hakeem Jeffries. He's dodging questions about Schumer, who is the one who helped pass this in the Senate.
For new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Have you lost confidence in him, the fact that you guys see this so differently?
Next question.
Mr. Leader, why were you afraid to say anything about Schumer when you were asked?
No. Do not characterize.
No, my question was, why are you afraid to say anything?
Do not characterize.
About he's like, don't care. He's saying, don't characterize what I said as I'm afraid to say something. Just because I don't want to answer it, I'm not going to answer it, is immaterial. Strategically, I might not want to answer it. It's not because I'm afraid. I'm not afraid to say fuck you. I'm just not saying it in this context, right? So notice that guy backtracks again to, no, I was saying, why are you afraid? Like he doesn't understand
My remarks. I'm not afraid about anything.
But you went to another question.
Anything. I said, I was very clear that we look forward to working with every single one of our Senate Democratic colleagues. Every single one of them. Push back against the Trump administration.
So put your journalist hat on, Charlie. What do you make of that exchange?
You know, we've seen a lot of shutdowns, and every shutdown, it doesn't matter whose fault it really is, every shutdown gets blamed on Republicans.
Yeah.
And this is the first time in my memory where you have a potential government shutdown and Republicans managed to pin the blame, in this case where it belonged, on Chuck Schumer and Democrats.
Yeah, that's not how it worked at all. The difference is that Democrats don't want that much harm done to the American people, considering the amount of harm Trump has already set in motion. If you stack on top of his stupid tariff bullshit and the horrible, like, unpaid for CBP people at the border, or the ICE personnel and all that kind of stuff going state to state, all that money that's got to come, Trump has to get that from somewhere. That has to be allocated. And if they don't pass the CR, it'll shut down the government, period. And that harms everybody. Democrats, the reason why it always gets blamed, Republicans always get blamed for it, is because they don't give a shit who it harms. And we're already seeing, like, the idea that we could get up in arms about the damage Doge is doing and then shrug off a shutdown is fucking stupid. There has to be another way to fight this. And that letting the government shut down and going, well, fuck it, I guess you guys blubbing, is a terrible way to do it. It's just not going to happen. And so that's not what happened at all. And as a matter of fact, the infighting that it caused amongst Republicans, especially in the House, with the CR is gorgeous and has been ongoing. And the cloakroom fights are supposedly fantastic because the CR keeps them from getting their tax break. Because they know we're going to get it now. If we try to get it later this year, we're fucked. And guess what? They're fucked. Schumer and Jeffries stopped the Trump tax cut insofar as we can tell right now. I mean, God knows what could happen. But if we take the House, for example, it's gone for the rest of the term. That chance of extending that thing is gone. And Trump will be a livid freakout machine. I mean, not like he isn't now, but even more, like, unhinged to the point where his incompetence rises to the surface even more in a way that will frustrate the people who put him there.
And they freaked out and they blinked. They had no good options, and they deserted the field. They couldn't even stand and fight for it.
It's very indicative of what that fight is. A good example, I've got Warnock and Ossoff in Georgia. They're very liberal, very progressive. That's what they are. But look at how they're voting right now. Because Georgia's turned very red. It's always been red, but that one little slip up there.
So how did Warnock vote on that one?
I don't know how. I think.
Jesus Christ, Joey. Come on, man. Come on. He knows how they're voting. How are they voting? I don't know. You know what? It's nice to know that in the era of Trump beta 2.0, Fox and Friends hasn't lost their edge.
We were going to show who voted which way.
Let's
saw
do that.
I think we have it. If we don't, we'll talk about it in the next time we talk about this. But
Yeah, whenever that is, sometime in the next 6 years or something. What's our schedule? Does anybody know?
But I was talking about, yeah, I can't remember.
Those are
There
the
we go.
ones.
So those are the
Where
ones
was
who
I?
voted to break the filibuster. But
No, that's really
Yeah, they voted for cloture on it, but they didn't vote for the actual thing. That's the point.
interesting. So you've got neither of them
yeah,
are up on that, voted to break the filibuster on that, which is very significant because voting to break the filibuster is actually, that's a free vote. I mean, you as a Democrat,
you can go back and vote
Yeah,
against.
you can, exactly. Every one of these people are going to vote against it, but that you can just
Yes.
But you just showed that Jeanne Shaheen didn't. And Jeanne Shaheen didn't because a CR screws Trump's tax plan idea. The House is not going to pass that ridiculous package they wanted to get through that includes the $4 trillion add to the debt ceiling so that they could have Trump's tax cut. They're not going to be able to pass that now that you have a CR that takes us to the end of the year. And if Trump's economic shit isn't fucking magic, and it obviously isn't, then the chance of them passing his tax cut later this year is slim to none. Zero.
to
The
break
reconciliation.
you can
Yeah.
you can vote to break the filibuster and then vote against the bill itself.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's really interesting because, as you point out, Georgia should not be represented by two left-wing Democrats.
No, in the same
They aren't. They're represented by Democrats.
election.
Warnock's like a commie.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Warnock's like a commie, like literally. Yeah, that's kind of magic. Can we hear that again?
Democrats.
No, in the same election.
Warnock's like a commie.
Yeah.
Like literally.
He's
It's like we're getting to see her at the water cooler at Fox as the dudes talk over her. Hey guys, wait up.
If you're a Georgian, you got a lot of problems with Warnock. The point here is, if you're those people, Ossoff and Warnock, do you swing right like Bill Clinton in the 90s, or do you toe the line that got you there, that's going to get you all the money in your next election? And if you do, you're probably not going to stay there. I don't think the country stops swinging middle or even right because DOJ is cutting some jobs from the federal government. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't think it's you don't think they overreached and they're undermining their own strategy because they don't know what the fuck they're doing? Where would I ever get that idea?
What their line of attack is, and that's what they're arguing about.
Or how about you just man the middle?
How about they're not arguing about it at all? They voted for cloture and voted against the bill because they disagree with the spending priorities of the administration. I don't know. I'd love for that part of it to be fucking exciting. But this is Fox and Friends in the era of Trump world. I mean, we don't need to see any more of this horse shit. For the record, we're not going to learn anymore from these folks because they don't even know the facts that apparently they're upset about.